The harem continues to grow as we get into the second season of How Not to Summon a Demon Lord, or How Not to Summon a Demon Lord Omega. But this is my review of this series, so let's jump into it. For those that are not familiar with How Not to Summon a Demon Lord, it essentially follows a guy who has been playing a video game alone, an MMO where he plays a character called Diablo. He's really super high level, and he has his own dungeon, and he just basically attacks people that come into his dungeon. And he just has really terrible social skills to boot with it. But at some point when he wraps it up for the night, he is transported to another world and immediately kissed by two girls, Rem and Shera, one being an elf and one being a panther. And what you end up finding out is these two girls were attempting to summon him to this world, applying a kiss that will then enslave him in order to use him in their adventures. But since his actual character from the other game is the body in which he resides in this new world, he has a particular item within his possession that allows him to reflect magic upon people. And so, when they try to do this enslave spell upon him, he actually reflects the spell upon them and thus enslaving these two girls that summon him. And what comes from the story going forward is essentially him being in this new world, trying to figure out if this is the world that he played in, because he's obviously his character from the other game, but then slowly discovering these little differences and also these similarities that are existing within this world. And ultimately, is this the world of the video game that he played in? But, you know, what is in this world and why is he there? Which technically gets to a funny point, but he technically doesn't care. It doesn't seem like he cares anyways. There doesn't seem to be any point in the story where it seems like he cares all that much of getting out, how to get out, why is he there. A lot of the focus just seems to go around the cute girls around him that end up, you know, being entertained by him and following him as he goes on these journeys of discovery about this world. And as we get into the second season, we ultimately just kind of introduce new characters. We have Lumachina, who is this high priestess within this church of the area, and she's being attacked by what seems like a paladin that was kind of ordered by the heads of the church to basically take her out. And so Diablo takes it upon himself to ultimately protect her and keep her safe, as she tried to find out where the corruption within this church is coming from. And in the initial journey, it is to go seek out one of the paladins that she feels she can trust the most, that will aid her in trying to get down to the nitty-gritty about what's happening within the church. And this gets wrapped up in this curse that is being implemented upon the people of the areas in order to essentially exploit money and prayers from the people within the towns to the church. And ultimately uncovering this corruption is, I guess, the main goal. We all know why we're here. You all know why you're here. Yes, it's really just kind of an excuse for him to travel more, find more girls, show off his powers more, and ultimately save the girls in the end. That's honestly what we're here for. But that ultimately gets down to my review of this season as a whole. Now, granted, with the first season, I wasn't really high praise on the series. I did like the ecchi, let's be honest. The ecchi was really good in the first season. It was, you know, it didn't really hold much back. You kind of went places with some of the characters. But ultimately with the first season, there was also a lot of comedic value that came with the characters. Really, a lot of the comedy really focused around Diablo and his kind of terrible social skills. He really doesn't know how to talk to people or girls in general. So he often masks his conversations with them with his persona, which was Diablo. He basically RP'd his character of Diablo and being this evil demon lord that can take on anybody, and he's super powerful. So whenever there's like a situation where something's happening and he doesn't know what to say, he'll just let his character get out there and he will yell, "I'm the demon lord and you're all going to face damages and I'm going to take you all out." And that's where a lot of the fun comes from. Like, I mean, especially one moment in this season, you have like this huge army surrounding them and he's thinking, okay, don't say anything that'll entice them. And sure enough, he goes, I'm the demon lord. You're all sacrificing your life before me. And it just kind of goofs up the situation. But yeah, so you have the fact that he is overpowered. It likes to play off of that. You have the fact that he has zero social skills, so he plays off this character of Diablo. You have the etchiness of the girls around him. You have a lot of cute girls. And that's really the focus of it. And a lot of this other stuff is just really kind of excuses to bring more characters in, bring more adventures in, and just excuses to get them out there. So you still do have a lot of moments in this season of, yeah, fun new characters to add to the roster. You still have these moments of like pretty ecchi moments, some here and there, some pretty borderline hentai type moments, but for the most part, it seems like it's sort of losing that ecchi feel. I think with this, and I would have to go double check the first season as well, but it just seemed like, yes, there's like a few points where it gets really edgy with the ecchi, but overall, it's not really an ecchi show. I mean, the most you get is Shara constantly bouncing around every time you see her on the screen. Obviously, bouncing, you know what I'm talking about. And then you have this very lackluster story that just doesn't really. It's just the corrupted church story. That's really nothing new there. And then you have the new characters, which, yeah, I liked Horn. I like a lot of the moments with Horn. Limachina was okay. Rose was pretty funny at first, but overall, it didn't really have that many good moments. I mean, granted, it's only 10 episodes, it's not much of an investment, but I will say that I'm kind of disappointed this season, and that's to say that I wasn't really thrilled with the first season as well. I just got a kick out of a lot of the ecchi moments. I got a kick out of Diablo's terrible social skills that are masked by his persona that he likes to invoke. And it's really hard to really place where the fault lies in the season. It's not that it did anything inherently bad, it's just it seems like it was too focused on a story that wasn't all that interesting while taking away from what made it good, which is his goofy persona and the ecchi. And I almost wonder if it's because they think that the aspect of cross-reverie having elements within this world is going to be an interesting plot line, but it ultimately isn't all that interesting. Okay, he has his dungeon in there that revealed that he has this maid that he can bring with him. There's a raid boss that's similar that often throws off the bad guys when he obviously knows what their faults are at. But that's really something you can find in a lot of anime, including like Overlord, that does a lot better. Well, granted, this is essentially Overlord, but ecchi instead of being serious and violent. But but it was nice to technically see in this season he is kind of being backed in the corner. There was several points in which he was struggling to kind of face what he was facing. But that's all to really kind of look into it way more than it really needs to be. Like I said, this is really just kind of a dumb, have fun, ecchi, adventure, power fantasy, isekai show in the end. I just think the ecchi elements are very much so lacking. And if that's really what your bread and butter is actually in this series, to kind of have that lacking is kind of disappointing in the end. Not to claim myself out to be a pervert or anything, but that's what it is. It is what it is. I was kind of interested as to get more into what this Holy Grail was that Horn found, because essentially this Gyaru, teenage high schooler of modern times, apparently came out of it, mentioned something about this liquid that was in the grail that she drank. But I did have a lot of fun with Horn. I honestly, I think Horn was a nice little treat in this season, to be honest. I think that she was a lot of fun. Her trying to gain her... It was almost like this little nice drama beat that was kind of mixed in everything that actually did a pretty good job of really... captivating me. I really did root for Horn. I wanted her to succeed. I my heart broke for her when she struggled. And to kind of see her put herself out there was really, really exciting. And I did really enjoy that arc particularly. I like seeing more Biscuito and Eldegard. They're a lot of fun still too. It's almost like every time they went back to the original cast, I had a lot of fun. And I think it's almost like if they're getting too many characters and these other characters are kind of distracting, even though, like I said, I like Horn. I think getting away from a lot of these main cast characters is kind of one of the reasons why it lost a little bit of flavor as well. Because I really did like the original cast, and whenever we went back to them, like we had this whole scene where they were taking down this bad mob boss group that was within the town, and I loved it. And it's like, oh, this is what I enjoyed about the first season. We're getting back to that, not this goofy adventuring that just kind of took away a lot of that flavor that the original season had. But at any rate, that's my thoughts on How Not to Summon a Demon Lord Omega. If you've never watched the entire series as a whole, I'd recommend it if you're looking for something that's ecchi, power fantasy, isekai. There's nothing wrong with it, and you're probably going to know if you're going to enjoy it early on really easily. It has a lot of potential there. I also say that there was a other lack of animation in the second season, which I think also held it back as well. But if any of that sounds like your cup of tea, definitely check it out. But that's my thoughts on How Not to Summon Demon Lord Omega, the second season of How Not to Summon Demon Lord. Hope you guys enjoyed my review. If you did, leave a like down below. Comment, let me know what you thought of the season. Subscribe if you haven't already. Share this video if you can. And y'all take care.